G'day everyone. So today there's a high probability of building a master cylinder brace, but the first thing I have to do is work out if I actually need a master cylinder brace. So basically what a master cylinder brace does is this is the master cylinder for the brakes. So when you push on the brake pedal, it pushes in the back of this piston, and on some cars the firewall flexes and this whole thing moves forwards and you lose brake pedal feel and eventually it cracks the firewall. The brace is a super common upgrade on things like Civics and I think A86s and a few other cars. The thing is, the Preludes are built way better than the Civics. The Civics are a bit flimsy in comparison, which you can sort of see when you look at how much the Preludes were new and they weigh a bit more and everything's a bit... Anyway, it might not need one, so what we're going to do is put a dial indicator on, check how much it's actually flexing and then decide if it's going to be worth building that as an upgrade or not. So one of the challenges with bracing the cylinder on this car is it's pretty crammed in with stuff. I've just moved the clutch master cylinder, the clutch reservoir which bolts on here, and I've removed the air intake which sort of takes up this whole big space. But now that we can get in there, we'll put the dial indicator on the end of the cylinder and see if it's moving or how much it's moving. Now you've seen the dial indicator in a few of my videos before. Basically it's just got a big magnet on the end, and when you move the end of it, it tells you how far it's moved. Each division is 0.01 of a millimeter, so from there to there is 0.1 of a millimeter, and the whole thing is 1 millimeter. So I only barely touched the end of it, and you can see it does friggin' like 3 laps of the gauge. So this will tell us any movement that we're getting. Now I just have to work out where I can stick it that it's going to reach down there. Okay, so the camera is precariously balanced on top of the engine. I'm going to get in the car and push the pedal. We'll see how much flex we're getting. That's a medium brake. That's what I'd say you're doing if you're sort of slowing down to the traffic lights quickly. And then that's a hard press, like if you were really trying to drive fast. And then a panic stop press. Okay, so that looks like we're getting sort of 0.2, 0.3 of a millimeter on a normal stop. Half a millimeter trap movement on a sort of fast stop, and then on an emergency stop more than a millimeter of flex. So I'm not sure what the other cars or what normal is, but now we have a target to aim for, so when we put our part on, we not just one of those people that goes, yeah, it made it heaps better, and they actually have no idea. We can measure it, we'll know it's 50% better, 100% better, 0% better, 10% worse, but we'll start designing it up now. So, it's very dark because the sun is behind me, but you can just deal with it. I don't know if you saw my last video, but my crappy laser cutter is working again. So I'm going to take some measurements, I'll laser cut it out of cardboard, check if it fits, and then I'll plasma cut it out of steel. So I'll be back. So this is my rough drawing. I've got to cut a hole out of it here because it needs to fit over this bracket that holds the reservoir. The other notes is there's a lump here that I have to clear, and I've just got the sort of rough dimensions. So I'll go draw this up, cut it out. We'll see how close it is to fitting, and we'll just make out of cardboard first, so when it doesn't fit on the first or second or third attempt, I can keep going without spending too much money. Prototype 1 in production. So here's our piece. Did it come all the way through? Yes it did. Go downstairs, see if it fits on the car, or see how close it is to fitting on the car at least. So, we're off to a good start, because the 2 bolts are supposed to be at the top with the middle one at the bottom, and I've done it the opposite way around, so that's good. I can still put it on here, go again there. So, looking at what we've done, this slot, I can move it like 10mm further forwards, and then this is too far in the front of the master cylinder, so I'll draw some additions on here, and then we'll go upstairs, modify the drawing, cut another cardboard one out, and see how we're looking. So, version 2 ready to go on. Somehow I've made this bit fit worse, but the hole's the right way around now. It looks like I need to take a bit more out of this, a bit less out of this side, and I'll modify where it comes against the master cylinder. Ready for version 3. So looking closely at it, if I rotate this hole pattern by 5 degrees, add 4mm extra there, I think we should be getting pretty close. Alright, this one ready to go to steel I think. There's a tiny little, I just want to take this corner off a bit more, but it clears the bracket. Once this bolt's back on, it'll clear all that. This is the right distance out to be able to put a adjusting nut. Actually, I'll probably take a bit more off there, but this is lines up right now. The holes line up, everything's good. I'll add the little bit I want to add, and then we're ready to cut it out of steel. Alright, so I'm over to the plasma cutter now. I found this bit of steel that it just fits in, so it should fit. Here we go. Cool, not bad. Worked first go. Cool, so moment of truth. And yeah, it doesn't fit. So I've had to jack the car up, so now I can push down on the wheel and these studs will go down because there's little nuts on the back here, and to get the nuts under and over this lip I have to push that down, so that's not a problem. The only thing I didn't account for is this curves up a little bit and it's hitting this edge, so at the grinder I'm just going to take a bit off that edge. Other than that, once I push the wheel down, get the studs out of the way, it all sits in there, so I'll cut this edge off, I'll bend this side, and then we'll see how close it is to actually lining up with the back of the master cylinder. So, put the bend in it, put it back on, it fits now. We'll tighten down the nuts and then we'll see how our alignment is once everything's tight, or tighten up. So it all looks like it lines up pretty well, it all tightens down flat. Our master cylinder has good clearance, doesn't hit anywhere. This isn't touching the side of the bracket, so if anyone was to put this on a stock car, it'll all still fit and match up. The next thing I've got to do is something needs to actually push on the back of the master cylinder. So I'm going to use an adjustable bolt or a nut that gets welded on here, and then you can wind this out to put a bit of force on it to hold it in place. So before I add a bolt or a nut to it, I want to reinforce this corner a little bit. So as far as reinforcing it goes, I've got this, it's called an Instaforce coin. You pretty much just, and there it is. So that's the easy way to make things. I don't know why I didn't just make the whole thing like that really. But basically you can see these will just weld on, and then the ones that go in here have space for the nut in them. So I'll weld that together and you'll see how it all looks in a second. So I'll just finish welding it together. You can see there's our bolt for the tension adjustment. It's screwed through that plate, and then this plate's got a clearance hole for it. It's hot still. I'll go give it a clean up, get all the scale and stuff off it, and then we'll give it a spray paint, I guess. Put it on the car, tighten it up, and then we can put the dial indicator back on and do a final test. Did this actually make a difference and improve something, or was it a complete waste? It's hot to hold, or was it a complete waste of time? Alright, now I can put it in. Alright, so now that we're all bolted down, we just tighten up this nut at the end here, so it's pushing against the end of the master cylinder. Now we're not tightening the crap out of it, it's just so it's got a bit of pressure on it, and then I can do up this nut here to lock that adjustment in place. Cool. So, moment of truth, get the dial indicator, put it on, see if it's made any difference. Alright, so this is the best place I can get the dial indicator in there now, because obviously the brace is in the way. I'll jump in the car, push the pedal, and I won't know what it says till I go back and look at the camera. Actually, the car's still jacked up, so I'm going to unjack the car up first. What will be interesting is, will this move when I let the car down? Yeah, it did. That's flexing the body from letting the car down. Right, set this back to 0 again. That's the regular traffic stop. That's the hard racing stop. And then that's emergency brake. Did it make any difference? So I'm sitting here editing the video. This is the first time I've actually been able to see where the dial indicator was reading properly, and there is an improvement to it, but it's not consistent. The way I was pushing the brake pedal, the needle was still like, it wasn't going back to the same place every time, because it's only as accurate as how I can press the pedal from the first test to the last test. So what I've done is I've gone on eBay and I've bought a load cell. This is a little metal bar that can detect, it's like sort of what's inside your bathroom scales. It can detect pressure So I'm going to make a jig to put this on the pedal, and then I'll be able to tell you, and I'll be able to press the pedal exactly the same weight for before and after test, and we'll get an exactly perfect solid number for how much difference it actually made. So if you want to see that second test, which I'll be putting up, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It helps me out big time if you subscribe to it and like the video and comment and all that stuff, because YouTube shows it to more people, and then more people see it, then we can make more videos testing stuff. So once this load cell gets here, if all the testing goes well, I'm going to make these braces for a few other cars, and I might put up a video. We'll really get once and for all, do these brake master cylinder stoppers actually reduce flex. And then once I've got a load cell working, we should be able to test a lot of other stuff as well. So if you want something else tested, chassis rigidity wise, strut braces, fender braces, that sort of stuff, I've got ideas to test all of them. So thanks everyone, hope you liked the video, and I'll see everybody on the next video.